Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to the Cancer Conquering Community. And we are so happy today to have an incredible special guest from New York. His name is Claudio Pannunzio, and he is a two-time cancer survivor, a chaplain, and a cancer advocate, and he works with cancer patients. So what I'd like to do at this time is to bring him on. So Claudio, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and let's get into a great conversation here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. um, I think that when cancer visited me twice, gave me a purpose in life, the purpose that I've been looking all my life. I spent 25 years of my life on Wall Street in corporate America, but cancer really helped me to hit the brakes and look inside and see what I really wanted to do. And it's help relieve the suffering of all sentient beings. And that's how I structured my life. I started to volunteer while I was doing my chemotherapy. I had my first cancer, both cancer were stage 3. The first one was prostate, and the second one pancreatic. I had what is called the Whipple procedure of about 11 hours, 11 and a half hours, which was followed by 6 months of chemotherapy. This was 5 years ago. Every check that I had, it's has been, thank God, good. But I'll share with you, a couple of months ago, I think I had an intestinal virus, and I started losing weight. And as you can appreciate, my mind went to the darkest place because that's how our mind is programmed. So fortunately, that's not the case. Everything will be taken care of. But I spend my time as an interfaith chaplain. I'm not a father, pastor, or anything. I'm trained to help people who are suffering, and regardless of their faith. I'm also work with the Cancer Hope Network, which is another beautiful organization that supports cancer with patients with cancer and their families. I'm a volunteer here at the hospital where I live. Actually, small correction, Mark. I'm from Greenwich, Connecticut, not New York. Otherwise, my friends are gonna get upset. And I work there, and I'm also a third level Healing Touch practitioner. For those of you who don't know, Healing Touch is a practice that works with the energy and with the main chakra points of the human body, and has been proven scientifically to bring a lot of support, especially to people who are undergoing chemo, or it's more than a relief for pain. It's bringing down the energy, because when we are in pain, we retreat and we put our mind only onto pain. We don't diversify as we should do with our portfolio of investment. If we focus only on pain, we feel 100% of pain. If we are able to think about another couple of things, magically, if we pay attention, we'll see that the pain is not anymore 100%. It might be 40, 20, and 40, or 30, 30, and 40. So we need to do that. I've been lucky to have been trained, and I train people. I conduct training in mindfulness to help patients with guided meditations, with any type of mindfulness and meditation, to really overcome the fear and the anguish that you have when you are announced with cancer, or you're doing chemotherapy. And I just spent my life with cancer patients. I can say that almost every day I work in the hospital in medical oncology and oncology 3 times a week. So, and the rest of the week I deal with patients. One of the things that I wanted to to bring up, which has been an interesting exercise, is that 2 weeks ago, I went to visit a patient in the hospital, young lady, 35 years of age. And the nurses told me that her cancer worsened almost overnight, and she was declared CMO. For those of you who don't know what CMO is in an hospital, in a nosocomial environment, it's provide comfort measures only. So you are on your way out. I remember talking to her parents, and the only word that came very often into their mouth was miracle, miracle. And it's interesting that in my role as a chaplain, I found myself to be a translator of the word miracle for the medical community that is not fully conversant with that type of language. So it's interesting that as a chaplain, I often serve as a bridge, helping translate the miracle language for the medical team so that the miracle can be heard and honored. We need to understand, and the medical teams need to understand that the miracle language, when you are with cancer, offers comforts in time of crisis, gives people something greater than what they are holding on to. It becomes a coping tool that is shaped by our personal experience, our faith, and really helps both patients and caregivers to feel grounded and to feel prepared to deal with something that, regardless, it's always greater than ourselves. So this language is not limited by race, religion, gender, ethnicity. It really transcends all boundaries because it can fill a patient room and heart with hope and calm. I always say and repeat to everybody, healing with cancer is an inside job. It starts in our mind. It starts in our heart. And what are the two pillars that support that? Faith and hope, regardless of what you believe in. So I find myself very often to encourage clinicians to sit with the discomfort of the miracle language that they don't understand or they don't want to understand because they are science trained. That discomfort is an invitation for them to be fully present and really to feel fully responsible for what they make that happen with the patients. So sometimes what I tell, all it takes are just a few words. Remember, you all have, like the British say, you all have eaten that soup and you know what it tastes like. When we are with cancer, sometimes a small nod of the head, a tiny smile, a glance, a move of our hand can make the difference in our way. So all we need to train the medical staff is really to be compassionate. And when someone uses being the patient or being the family, uses the language of miracle, just say, I'm hoping the same for you. That's enough. That touches us, cancer patients, in the deepest of our soul. So, and a doctor can say, as we hold on to hope for a miracle with you, let's also focus on your comfort and managing your symptoms. So asking a patient and families what they are hoping for really helps them feel seen and heard. Remember, when human beings suffer, they retreat. They don't want to talk. They want to disappear. But in reality, they want to be seen and heard. And so those small gestures validates our emotion, build trust, strengthen the therapeutic relationship between the patient, the cancer patient, and the doctor. And it's a real key to shaping care, goals, and decisions. I'll share this with you. I spent 2 weeks ago a great deal of my day with the entourage of Governor Lamont, which is the governor of Connecticut. I'm working with my other colleague at the organization called TPIU, thepatientisyou.org. We are working to promote compassion and empathy into the medical system, because so far the medical system it's failing to that. And what we are doing, I am really advocating for passing bill number 5745, which will make compelling for doctors. At the beginning, it will be only in Connecticut. Let's hope that it will expand to the rest of the country. Whenever they renew their license or they take their license as doctor, to take courses in compassion and empathy. There is a doctor called Dr. Tresiak. He's my hero because he talks like me. He says there are studies that prove when the patient has hope, everything improves. I don't care how you get to that hope, through means of faith, through means of meditation, through means of contemplation. That hope, it's your best traveling companion during the arduous and difficult journey of cancer. I want, and Mark, with your, please, if you have questions, go ahead. I wanted to touch base today mainly on the three aspects of what are really the cancer patients and their family face numerous challenges that impact their spiritual, psychological, and emotional well-being. So I want to talk, and Mark, with your blessing, if I can continue, I don't want to make it a monologue, but I just, based on my experience in the trenches.
Claudia, you can handle it any way you like. I mean, if you want to make it interactive, if you want to just talk,
Sure.
and have, sections and then ask for questions, however you want to do it. It's your floor.
So I want to just start with what are usually the spiritual issues that we encounter, not only with cancer patients, but with people who are suffering with terminal illnesses. The first one starts with a search for meaning. So patients may have questioned why they have cancer, and they struggle with understanding their suffering. Often in our upbringing, suffering it's always something that we throw in the back of the CPU unit of our computer because it's very uncomfortable. But suffering, it's our traveling companion. As I always say, we keep death always under the rug, but death accompanies us throughout our life. The moment that you are being born, you come out of your mother womb, the doctor slaps you on your back, and you take your first breath. That is one breath less that you have in your life. On that day, you start your journey through life holding hands to death. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's not being gloomy. So the other one, it's the other spiritual issue, it's faith crisis, which people may feel abandoned by their faith. So I'm also the director of first responders, of chaplain first responders. And when we go on a site of disaster, we see that people don't want to talk. They go into a faith crisis. When I work with palliative care doctors, I always explain, when a patient is announced with cancer, the very first crisis that he or she has, it's not of medical nature, it's of spiritual nature. Because the doctor dropping the C-bomb on you means for you to immediately confront yourself with the impermanence of your life. So it's a spiritual crisis. With that comes fear of death and the afterlife, concern about your mortality, the unknown. You question your religious beliefs. That's why I say that we need to. I talk to cancer patient about a particular type of hope. Some of you must have heard it. For those of you, I'll share with you. Wise hope. Regular hope, as we are used to, it's a hope that I get a better job, I get a better apartment, I go into a nice vacation. That hope is a closed system. It's between you and your desire. And if that desire doesn't take place, what happens? You are disappointed. When you are with cancer, do you need another layer of disappointment? You have enough in your hands. So I say, use wise hope. Wise hope is an open system. It's an open system that puts you in front of your fate or your higher self or God or wherever you believe, and you say, this is my situation. I need all the help I can. And everything that I come to me from this moment on, I know that I will be empowered to deal with that. That gives you the strength to deal with the most difficult moments. That gives you the strength and empowers you to dwell in what we fear the most, the unknown of our sickness, the unknown, are we going to be here next week? Am I going to walk my daughter or down the aisle when she gets married? We don't know. So it gives us the power to dwell in the unknown. And let's ask ourselves a question. What is the unknown? The unknown, it's the boundless realm of possibilities that includes even our healing. Let's not discard that. So the last of the spiritual issues that I usually talk about, it's the guilt or regret. And sometimes when we don't have an explanation for ourselves, we start thinking about, did I do something to deserve this cancer? So we start going into something that brings us to that dreadful question, why me? My suggestion to everybody is, don't waste your time asking why me, because the answer is the most stupid answer on the face of the earth. Why not? I got news for all of you and me. Are you special? Am I special? So it's part of our existence that we need to accept. I often said to cancer patients, when cancer shows up at your doorsteps, take the appropriate measure on what you do. But at one point, invite cancer in for tea. Say to cancer, let's sit down, let's have a cup of tea, and let's discuss how we can coexist. I'm one of the strongest advocates of not using martial language, military language, boxing language with people with cancer. Oh, you're going to kick the ass of cancer. You're going to kill it. You're going to knock it down. Don't use that, because if things for some reason then go the other way, the patient experiences guilt. We need to invite any difficult situation in our life in, sit down over a cup of tea, think about it. What else we can do? Can we shoot cancer? Would a bullet kill cancer? Can we kill cancer? Listen, when it comes to punching and kicking, I have 4 black belts in different martial arts. I think I know a few things. But when cancer showed up, I was punching hair. I was kicking hair. So we need to have the strength. The strengths come from our faith, from our grounding ourselves. What I mean, we can only coexist. So for spiritual issues, usually the coping strategy that I suggest, speak with a chaplain, with a pastor, rabbi, an imam, an advisor, someone that can provide comfort and guidance, someone that has been in the trenches before you. One other thing that often helps patients is journaling, reflection, creating a memory book. something that forces you to look inside, to come here. Because when we are with cancer, we are all over the map. We are all over the map. Meditation and prayer. I do a lot of guided imagery for cancer with patients. That most of this guided imagery help patient in treatment to sleep. As you know, the first day of treatment, you go to bed at night, and in most cases, you are awake all night because the cortisone and the steroids that are injected to avoid your nausea. So, and find community supports. My hat goes to Mark, to Lydia, bless you for giving us this support group. And also look into other sources of support. That could be Reiki, acupuncture, sound therapy. Healing touch is extremely powerful, In hospitals, I do it every week with patients. You can see the results after the healing touch, unless the patient falls asleep and we don't want to wake him or her up, we ask for feedback and we hear. It says something lifted a weight from my body, from so it's just now a question: is any one of you had any spiritual issue, wants to share what has been the experience with spiritual issue? I hope that this is a very condensed and abridged version. I hope that I touch upon the main points. Well, if not, we can move to the psychological issues. So in this bucket, we always looking at anxiety and depression. Sadness becomes our companion, has been my companion, has been your companion. So one of the very basic things that I always recommend to people in treatment or with cancer, their caregivers, please stay away from the news on TV. Don't watch the news. Don't watch report on shootouts. Just go back into your youth, or even a few years ago. What were the shows that made you laugh like an idiot, like I did? I went and I looked at all those shows 1 time, 2 times, 20 times. We need to lift our spirit. So when there is anxiety and depression, we need to take. One of the things that I always say is that cancer gave me a degree, not a degree in medicine, not a degree in law, a degree in gardening. I have become the sharpest gardener on earth, because when cancer did this process, I weeded out from my life all the people that were around me just to suck my energy, or they disappeared when I had cancer the moment that I needed. So, and I don't mean this in a malicious way. I just put them onto the side burner, but I kept on the front burner those people that were sharing with me their attention, their support. And remember, many people think that when you are with cancer, in order to help you, they have to put together a Shakespearean play, something grandiose. No. Remember, energy follows thought. So if your father, your mother, your sister, your friend, a friend of a friend, just center in your heart and send good energy and say, if you will, even aloud, honey, husband, wife, friend, Mary, Joe, Frank, I am there for you. And the energy of your thought will know exactly where to go. So just, it's more simple. People think that they have, to put together very complex strategies. It's more simple than that. There are cognitive difficulties that develop with psychological issue. Does everybody know what chemo brain is? For those of you who don't know, when I was doing chemo, I would be in the kitchen with my wife. I said, I'm thirsty. I'm thirsty. Can you give me a glass of, I couldn't say the word water. Uh, hey, it's cold in this room. Can you close the door? So I started getting, I worked until then in PR and marketing. So I am a person that works with words. You can imagine what I went through, especially when I was, putting one number in different order or mixing up vowels. So I called my oncologist and I said, what the heck is going on? He said, take it easy. It's chemo brain. It's the results of the chemo medicine. The moment that you finish your treatment, in 2 weeks, everything will go back to normal. But for many, as it was for me, I don't deny, it was a tremendous shock. So we need to be prepared. That's why I always ask doctors, physician assistants, nurses, please go through the whole gamut of side effects of chemo, not just the basic, the diarrhea, the metal taste. We know that. Some people freak out, as I did when I had the chemo brain. So there is also a post-traumatic stress. The experience of cancer can be traumatic, and it leads always to hypervigilance and intrusive thought, as much as being in a building that collapsed or in a major car pileup. This is one of the reasons why me and my team of first responders are trained at the Johns Hopkins University in what is called psychological first aid. Because when we approach someone who is in a traumatic situation, we never ask, oh, what was your stage of the cancer? At what time and what day it was? No, we always present the person with open-ended question. What can I do for you? Is your family all right? Is everybody accounted for? Do you have a pet that needs help? Do you need to talk to your bankers? Do you need to put some of your affairs? And we accompany the process, meaning that we are there to help the person. If they need to go to a doctor, we make the call, we make the appointment, and we offer to take the person there. Because the post-traumatic stress, it's very, very preponderant. And that leads me to another effect, which is the decision-making stress, which makes you feel overwhelmed for making treatment choices, final decisions, care plans. So that's when we are there. Let's remember, as I said before, the coping mechanism is to come back to the present moment and know that our fate and our hope will get us through, And your mind is your best healer, is your best healing ally. So coping mechanism includes helping manage anxiety, depressions, mindfulness, meditation, psychotherapy, there is counseling, and yoga, Tai Chi, massage can do a lot. And people very often, cancer patients are afraid that they are frail because of, talk to the nurses, talk to the doctors, but can help. So those are the mainly the important factor that impact our psychological issues. And if nobody has questions or comments, I'll move to the third and final, addressing the emotional issues. Please feel free to let me know.
I have something that I would like you to expound on. As a society, and I think this is pretty much worldwide, we are taught from a young age that the doctor, pretty much knows it all when it comes to your health. And so when you're dealing with cancer patients, how do you know, kind of break that so that their mind becomes more open, instead of just totally relying on the doctor's word?
I am a consumed, unstoppable advocate of palliative care. which are just, it's in its infancy, especially in this country. Palliative care until now has been conceived as the last stop of the bus. People think that when you go into palliative, it's because you need to die. Palliative care should be requested the moment that you get diagnosed with cancer, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, whatever. Why? Because palliative care creates an incredible symbiosis of medicine cure, spiritual cure, and physical cure. When you experience palliative care, you witness firsthand that it's not only the doctor that is the king. So it's not only a medical. Medical is extremely important, but so is spiritual. So is your crisis that you're living it moment by moment, minute by minute. Guys, I don't have to tell you. You had moments where your mind, most probably for an hour or two, was unable to distract itself from the thought of dying. So palliative care gives us a tangible, incontrovertible testimony that when you use a combined action, it's not only medical, it's spiritual. The moment that you are with cancer, you start posing a lot of questions. Unfortunately, most often we're posing it to ourselves, and we are not equipped to answer those questions. Then we move to our caregivers who are doing something that is beyond their capabilities, because caregivers, family caregivers, are never prepared for cancer. Because in our culture, we don't prepare for that. When it comes, it's always the proverbial brick that hits you on the forehead. And so we need to ask for these support groups like Mark. I have a support group that is called Mindful with Cancer. We teach patients to use mindfulness during cancer, and many others, the Cancer Open Network, just name it. We need to reach out for help. The moment that we tell ourselves, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody because I am sitting with pain, that's the moment that we need to reach out. We need to have the courage to do it ourselves and to teach it to our family, sweetheart, wife, husband. You are stomaching something that it's impossible for you. You're not prepared to do. Reach out to someone. Kimber, reach out for someone. What are you shouldering right now? You never shouldered it in your life. And sorry, I'm staring directly at you because I'm speaking from my heart. I know what my wife went through 2 times. So reach out for help. Don't be ashamed. If you have to carve half an hour out of your support to dad, you do it for your highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of dad. Do it. Do it.
Can I just say, this is so crazy. I've literally been texting with my sister right now. She just got out of a medical appointment, and she has cancer. Can't believe it. She just told me she has stage 2 oral cancer somewhere on her thing. So anyway, she's in the military and she's all by herself. So now I was just talking with her, like, you need to come home. She's in Texas, but now she says, no, I'm going to stay here. So now we're going to look at next steps, because I don't want her to be alone. She's single, no children. And so this will be interesting. I'm very interested to see how God's going to work this out with 2 family members. It's crazy.
One more reason for you to reach out for help.
Yeah.
Now you're not
being on this.
Yeah, now you're not lifting 100 pounds. You bench press 50.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that's why you need to do that. That's why.
Thank you. You're wonderful. I've loved every word you said.
Thank you. Mark, I hope I have addressed your question, or if you want me to elaborate further. I just don't want to make it a very long, tedious
No, no, that's great. And does anybody else have anything to say? And that I want to talk to you later, Kimber.
Uh, I have a
Um,
question for Claudio, which, given your connections, particularly with the governor of Connecticut, everything that you just espoused, I couldn't agree with more. And in my own personal situation, none of that was made known or was made available when I was diagnosed. In my case, it was quite literally a less than 10-minute appointment with my oncologist, who simply said, "You have cancer. Here's your prescription. Go make your next appointment." And so I dealt with everything you've just alluded to, not only the spiritual, mental difficulties, the sudden confrontation that you're going now face to face with death. And in my case, I went through quite a while where I didn't process it properly. I didn't process it at all. And frankly, I had no tools. And how do we collectively, and everything you talked about, Claudio, should be mandated to be in every single oncologist's office,
Yep.
such that when a diagnosis is presented, information is presented right along with it. That patient, whoever it may be, in almost every situation, is not going to have the cognitive powers to process it, but eventually they're going to have to, and they will. But they need that information at the ready in their hand when they're capable of then understanding the whole realm of the situation. And so many doctors know that, but they don't practice it for the very simple reason they're desensitized. They do it all day, every day. And so it's for so many, and I understand it, but that doesn't make it right, nor does it make it easier for anybody. And so if it were a law, if it were a mandate as part of that process, and I've even got ideas on how that could happen, particularly with your organization of the TPIU.
Yes.
Why not? Why can't all of us collectively put together, okay, as good as these talks are, and they help us individually, we need a plan of action. We need to take this collective amount of information and say, we all assimilate differently, but ultimately it's all the same information. So why are people continuing to go through this? Why isn't something done now that we can collectively, right here in this very group, okay, let's start laying out a plan of action. What's the first thing that happens to you when you're diagnosed? What do you need? Everything you just talked about. We need not only answers for that, but we need to have those answers made available for every patient in every oncology office for every single cancer diagnosis around the country. And I firmly believe that that can be done. And if you have connections with the governor, let's, as a group, let's get him on here. Let's talk to him. Let's start putting together the formalities to make this a reality to help everybody.
Yep.
I couldn't be, you talk about being an advocacy. This is mine. People need help. They need hope. They need to understand what all of this ultimately is and what's coming. And we've got that information. They don't know it yet. And shame on all of us, frankly, for not, and by all of us, I mean this country. Why aren't we giving them the information they need right from the start?
Yeah.
And to learn all of this after the fact is way too late. It's as good as it is, it's way too late. You know, I was diagnosed in 2019. I should have had this same information handed to me in 2019. When I was ready to read it and process it, then so be it. I'll handle it however I have to. But boy, how much better my life would have been if I would have had the answers in my hand so I could read them when I was ready. Just my thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I would very much like to connect with you offline.
I just sent you a connection request.
Great. Thank you so much. Um, I was appointed chairman of the board of TPIU in January, this January, and I took charge of involving the government of Connecticut because we are too small to be recognized at Congress in Washington yet. But if we can pass this bill in Connecticut, and we are asking for help from all across the country, from organizations like yours, from people like you. The other thing that I'm working on, I cannot read it because we are putting the final touch. We are working on a patient bill of rights that you can come to our website, you can sign, you can download, and you can take to a doctor and you say, I am entitled when I call not to be bounced off a chat box, but to talk to a human being. I'm entitled that if you tell me that, you know what, maybe you have metastases after your cancer, you send me for an MRI and 6 weeks later, you haven't called me yet. Do you have an idea what's going on inside myself? If cancer is not going to kill me, the fear of dying will. So we're trying to do that. And as well, we're trying to welcome other organizations to partner with us, organizations that are like-minded, because the stronger we raise our voice, the more are the chances that we're going to have a response. I'm working for next October to create a round table. And I think the topic will be something along the lines of the application of AI, artificial intelligence, to compassion and empathy. Because doctors are talking about AI. Oh, I can shorten the visit 3 minutes. I can do this. I can do that. I don't give a darn about that. I want to see how you use AI, since the tool is there, to become more compassionate and empathetic towards someone who's dying with fear of dying. So this is the charge that I'm taking, and I appreciate the support of anyone. I'm open to talk to anyone, because I will post it on LinkedIn most probably. I did at a press conference in Hartford at the state capitol. I did a quick presentation of what is compassion and empathy for patients with cancer, and I brought with me other two cancer patients. The whole video, I think it's about 15 minutes. I can share it with the group. Mark, I can give it to you, and you can share it, and you will see what is that we're bringing in the face of. But I have to tell you, we had 4 government representatives that came to me and they said, I am with you 100%. One said, I'm lucky. I don't know what cancer is. My family doesn't know what cancer is, but my heart feels your pain. When you hear someone like that, you know that there is a true, genuine interest. So let's leverage it together. So
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think everybody just here, what do we've got? A dozen people here. We've all got, to your point, groups, connections. I was talking with Mark earlier, and that'll be, as I understand it, some of the discussion next week along these same lines of how can we leverage our own connections, our own groups with each other. It's not a competition. What this needs to be is a massive group of groups. You were involved in investments. This is basically a mutual fund concept that I'm talking about, where we can bring in a group of groups we've all got the same mission. We've all got the same, to some degree, familiarity, background, experiences. But the people that need this, they don't know what's coming. They don't know what is about to happen. We do. And so we need to give them the information, hold them by their hands, give them the opportunity to understand it, accept it, and address it under their own terms and abilities. Point being, we need to be there with them. And again, they're not going to know that until it's levied and put in front of them and given to them. One of the biggest things I've had an issue with since, in my case, 2019, how do you make people care when they don't? When they are desensitized, you can tell, and I've done this. I was on the board of a large hospital with this in mind, and it was all about empathy. And I tried to get them to truly understand before you meet with any patient, put it in perspective. You may have done this 12 times so far today. They haven't done it once in their life. You need to put yourself in their shoes. And I get a shrugged shoulder. Yeah, I know you're right. Yeah, I'll do my best. And that is the reality. I don't know how you can make people care when they don't, other than, quite honestly, if there are some sort of parameters put in place that, well, guess what? It's a law now. You don't do it, you're in trouble. At the very least, they'll emulate it even if they don't necessarily believe it. To the patient, one is as good as the other. If they can feel that they're not alone, that they do have people that care. And one of the very simplest ideas, and I believe with your governor and with the connections, we can get pharmaceuticals. Any one of them would be happy to do this. Quite literally put together a composite of all the cancers out there, put a printer in every oncologist's office with a small computer where that diagnosis is presented. And at the same time, simultaneously, the doctor hits the button on what type of cancer this is, at which point a portfolio, a brochure, information is printed that doctor can then hand the patient, say, when you're ready, here's what's coming next. Here's what chemo brain is. Here's what side effects for your specific medication may be. It's just a bevy of information that everybody needs. And yet it has to be learned. And it has to, in most cases, be learned through experience. That's wrong. It can't be done that way because then it's too late. It has to be a preventative, symbiotic measure to what you have said, where it becomes spiritual, it becomes cognitive, it becomes part of the process from the start, not after the fact. Sorry.
And Jamie, to your point, and we pointed out this to the politicians up in Connecticut, but we give, and I invite all of you to go to tpiu.org, we identify doctors who are really compassionate and empathetic. We give them an award. We've been given, there are interviews. You can hear from them, their own words. These are people that just do it. And they say, so we trying to spread that so that other people say, well, you know, because you talk to a doctor, oh my God, now I need to be empathetic and compassionate. So it's going to take another 15, 20 minutes to, some of these doctors say, no, I just have to hold the hand of the patient when he comes in, look at him or her in the eye and say, we're going to do this together. We're going to do this together. So it takes very little. So I invite you to look at this is the, I hate to use this term, but this is the war that we are waging.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, we got to go hand-to-hand combat here. Otherwise, nobody listens.
Yes.
The only one that are yelling, screaming, punching, and kicking are us. Because we went through that. And it's not right. Someone who's going to be diagnosed tomorrow doesn't know their rights. Doesn't know that the doctor, the oncologist cannot tell you, oh, we'll do 6 weeks of chemo, so show up tomorrow morning at 8:30. And then you don't tell me chemo brain, the intestinal issues, the metal taste in my mouth. I get forgetful. Oh, another aspect that helped me was when you get the sudden changes of mood with chemo. For those of you that don't know, chemo can immediately turn you on a dime. One time, my wife came into my bed. I was on the bed. I was doing chemo. Said, dinner is ready. I responded her with the famous F word. And while I said the F word, I asked myself, why are you doing that? It was really eerie. And that happened. That happened when you do chemotherapy. So some people think that they are losing their mind. All it takes is just to inform them. 10 minutes. Take a physician assistant. You don't need His Majesty or Her Majesty, the oncologist himself. You can have just a physician assistant going through not only those side effects that are recommended to be mentioned by HIPAA because we do all of for compliance, but even the other one that nobody wants to waste time to do. This is the war that I'm waging, and I hope that you join my army.
Oh, I'm with you.
So, and I'll promise I'll be short in my last point, addressing really the emotional issues. The emotional issues that we have is the fear of the unknown. We are worried about the treatment outcomes, the recurrence, how our loved ones will cope with our treatment. And I remember, I'll share this with you, I'm not ashamed to, I was more scared to do chemo than to do 11-hour Whipple procedure for my cancer. That's what it was. And so that's when I developed the concept of wise hope, because I was terrified. So there is grief and loss. So you're mourning mainly the loss of your health, or sometimes of your independence, and or life, because you always go to life as it was before diagnosis. We got to let go of that. That's the past. We got to live in the present. And in the present, our life schedule as changing the oil at the car, taking the children to school, going to dinner with friends, but also chemo treatment, blood tests, day that you spend on the toilet bowl because you're sick as a dog. You make space for that. Make space for that. If you don't, you suffer. So, and we need to be careful. I counsel the patient for about 6 weeks, almost every day, about his family strains, because the shift of responsibility created the problem with his wife, and he came a step close to divorcing. And I just posed them this question. I said, I'll make up a name, Joe. Do you want to go to the pain of divorce while you enduring the pain of cancer? Do you really want 2 layers, one on top of the other? This is temporary. This shall pass too. And then you will revisit your relationship. Find the ability to live in the moment, accept what are your shortcomings, the shortcoming of your disease, but don't make any hasty decisions, because most of the time it's not you, but the chemicals in your chemo cocktail that are making that decision. So we need to find that ability to anchor ourselves. It's for those of you who have a boat or who like boating, go into a spot, throw out the anchor, stay anchored, and contemplate what's happening. I know it's hard because our mind travels at 6,000 miles an hour, but we need to do that if we want to survive. So there is isolation, loneliness. So what do I recommend? Open communication. Be honest. When I discovered that effect of chemo, that I would turn so nasty to my wife, I am a meditator of 35 years, so I'm used to observe my body, myself. I was able to see when that moment was coming. Wherever I was, I would text my wife, even if she was in the other room, sweetheart, for the next 20 minutes, don't come near me. And she would say, what? I said, don't come near me. That moment will come. That anger will come. And at the beginning, I would wrestle. I would punch and kick. And then I learned, like I said with cancer, anger comes in. Come in. Let's sit down. Let's see, where are you coming from? Are you real? Or is it perception of the chemical imbalance that is created in my body? So that's what I suggest. Being, if you have a hobby, if you have an art, express yourself through that. If you do art and you find yourselves going into a canvas and taking the blackest of the black color and putting a cross on the canvas, accept it, because that's who you are in the present moment. Accept it. This is what you are enduring. Don't fight it. The next one will be maybe a blue cross. The other one will be a blue sky. Maybe the other one would be the image of a sunset. Don't be afraid. Experiment with yourself. So, and as I said before, laughter, joyful activities. For me, getting into helping other cancer patients saved my life. Saved my life. When I joke with my oncologist, I said, doctor, my head goes off, my utmost respect for you, but my real doctor was my mind and my focus on helping others. So try to find, and the same is Kimber, it's for the caregivers. You need to distract your mind a little bit. You cannot be there. You're going to have your hands full in the future. God willing, it will be a beautiful outcome for you and your family. And I send you my good energy and the blessing for that. But try to distract yourself. Otherwise, you cannot be at it 24/7. So music therapy helps, biofeedback therapy helps. So in conclusion, and sorry, I kept you very long, addressing the spiritual and psychological and emotional challenges of a cancer patient and their family really requires comprehensive, integrative approach, a holistic approach. It combines, as I said, for palliative, traditional medicine, integrative therapies, emotional support, spiritual guidance. And that is the only one that can significantly improve the well-being of cancer patients and their families. So by utilizing this coping strategy and resources, only then we can navigate the journey with greater strength, peace, and the resilience that we need. May all of you and your families be blessed.
Thank you so much, Claudio. Anybody have any quick points they want to ask or interject?
I just wanted to ask something quickly, if that's okay.
Sure.
And I thank Claudio very much for sharing his wisdom. I'm just wondering if he has any suggestions for, he spoke about the psychological effects of dealing with cancer and like the fear of dying, the fear of recurrence. I was wondering if he had any suggestions for how to combat that. Like I'm in remission, but what I'm trying to work on is getting to the point where I'm not thinking too much about what if it comes back, that type of thing. If you had any suggestions.
Great question.
That fear has become my best friend. I have news for you. It will never go away.
Weird.
I'm sorry. It will never go away. What can we do? We need to coexist. We need to learn how to coexist. We need to start from the fundamental concept that the only thing that is permanent in life is the impermanence of life. So we need to befriend the fact that everything that we do is temporary. That will be, every day when I get up in the morning, I say, wow, I made it almost to 70 years of age. I said, not bad, not bad. I mean, but that traveling companion, it accompanies you from the day that you come out in the delivery room. It will be with you. Just accept the fact that that's life. Life has a beginning and has an end. It's a wonderful journey that has a beginning of an end. And then, the end, we can philosophically discuss if it continues, it bounces back, you turn into a dog, whatever is your belief. But we need to accept that. You see, the peace that we make with cancer, it's not without, it's within. It's only by accepting. One of the things that has helped me, and I just open here my kimono, when I do my meditation and my prayer in the morning, one day I started saying, wow, how many people have helped me with this cancer, doctors and supporters. Uh, and I said, let me start praying for them. And I pray for them. And then one morning, I had also, how many people I have despised throughout my life? I didn't like, I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear their name. I don't want to just not even see their pictures. But what was their role in my life? They made me who I am today. The moment that I start thanking, blessing, the positive and the negative in my life, the good health and the cancer, I started to find an internal peace that made me accept, that made me able, when the fear of dying comes up, to say, what else can I do but coexist with you? And let's see, let's take this walk together and see where we end up, either in the pond or on the sidewalk.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your programs. We need to figure out how to get you to come to Canada, because everything you're talking about, we have those issues here too. And especially the doctors needing to have more education in the compassion.
Yeah. I want to leave you only with two of the biggest lessons that I learned in the 35 years of meditation. That one is that all we have in the present moment, it's all we need. Think about it. All we have in the present moment is all we need. And another one, which comes from an old Buddhist master, is that in life, not knowing it's most intimate. Not knowing forces us to resort to our fate, to our hope. And how do you get to fate and hope? Out there? No. Here. That's why it becomes intimate. So will I survive with my father, my sister, my friends survive? I don't know. So I go there in the soothing place where I say, anything that happens, I will be able to deal with it. So, and I'll stop talking, I promise.
You know, the problem here, Claudio, is we could have you here for the rest of the whole day. But we really appreciate all of your knowledge, everything that you've shared with us. What I'm going to do right now is I am going to stop the recording, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I think everybody here really, really got a lot out of it. So I'm going to stop the recording and say, thank you to everyone who has watched this video for the cancer conquering community, and we will come back to you shortly with another video. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.